Hey, my friends, welcome back to the show. How are you today? I am great because I got a new project for you, one that I'm very excited about, very proud of. It's actually one of two parts, and here it is right here. This is the beginning. This is part one of a treehouse diorama that I think is going to be absolutely amazing. I think it's going to look great. So here it is. This was very fun to do. This I had some very interesting and very odd techniques that I used on this particular piece, and I know you're going to enjoy it. I know you're going to find value in it. So I'll tell you what, why don't we go to the video? I'll show you how I did this, and then I'd actually like a little bit of direction from you, my awesome viewers. Should I, on the second part, make this a creepy treehouse? Or should I leave it kind of just a little bit normal, maybe fantasy treehouse? Please leave the comments down below and you guys direct me on what to build as far as the topper of this goes. So let's go to the video. I'll show you how I did it. All right, here we go again. And as usual, my favorite material to use, XPS foam. So just cut out a couple of blocks, glued them all together, and then started cutting it with the wrong tool. I thought this was gonna go very smoothly with this serrated knife. It didn't go that smooth actually. It was kind of difficult. So after a little while of using this knife, I decided to use the hot wire cutter that I have and made a kind of a rough shape. And then I used the handheld hot wire cutter. And this is where everything came together a lot easier than trying to use a serrated knife. So went about and just started shaping and cutting and just doing a whole bunch of weirdness to this piece of foam. I did have the rough idea, as you can see here, kind of like a screw shape. This is going to be just like the way I was going to do the gnarly kind of roots, the gnarly kind of trunk. So that's what it looked like. I glued some extra pieces to the bottom to simulate roots sticking out of the ground. And at this point, it looks really rough. But never fear, because drywall compound is here. This stuff hides a lot of stuff, but it also gives awesome texture, especially wood grain, tree bark type texture. So when this is all spread out and then just starting to dry, you can use any kind of tool. I used a palette knife, and I just started texturing it to make it look like really rough bark. You know, this is, you do not have to be careful at this point whatsoever. In fact, the worse you are at it, I think the better, because it does look really cool once this is all dried up and ready to put paint on. So there it is. After all it was done, took it outside and I just used some spray primer on this and let that dry. This is basically the undercoat of everything. So as that was set aside drying, I just took my knife and I started to trim off some of these branches, these little bit of limbs that I had laying around, and then cutting open holes in the side of this tree stump. And these are going to be tree limbs that are kind of started growing again, is kind of what I wanted to make it look like. Now this is for scale wise, how this is going to be built with the house on top. This is quite a huge tree. So the limbs that are coming out of here would be probably about the size of large trees that we're used to. So this is more along the lines of fantasy, but it's going to look really cool. So there it is, all the limbs that were put into the tree trunk, all stuck out there looking pretty gnarly, just the way we want it. So then after that was done, I needed to have those limbs in first before I did the paint job. So once they were in, I got to work and I just mixed up a little bit of two colors of brown just to make it a little bit of a darker brown, and then painted the whole structure, painted the limbs and everything. And then after that, I used quite a few, I think it was actually 3 different color oil washes all over this just to give it depth, and it really was subtle. However, you can see the differences there in the bark. Hey everybody, If you're enjoying this video, please do me a favor. Hit the like and subscribe button. It would mean the world to me. Let's go back to the video. And so after all those oil washes were put on, I did a dry brush, and this is just with like a daffodil yellow, I think is what it was called. It's kind of it's a very creamy yellow, not a bright yellow at all. So this turned out really well and looked really good. So after that was dry, I made up a black oil wash. Now this stuff, man, I'm really liking these oil washes. I think I'm going to be using these a lot more often. These spread so nicely. You can see here when I touch the project with the oil wash there, it just seems to spread on its own. I really like how that works, and fast drying, and the quality, I think it's better than acrylic myself. So I will be using a lot more of these oil washes. It does smell pretty bad, but the quality is there. So after that was dry, went and I started putting glue and static grass all over the base. Now this is just going to be the start here. I will have more to do on this base project, but I want to have the house done or in conjunction before I do that, because I want to add different little items and details that will really bring out things a lot better when the house is done. But I want the house done so I can kind of have a better vision of what's going on there. So long-winded way to say that there are more details coming with this base project here. So here I am just adding some of this foam. This is foam bushes, tree brush. So I just glued that on top of the sticks that were put into the base, and they look really, really good. And now here's something that, again, I'm really liking to do, and this is the pigment powders. So I just took some time and I put a whole bunch of pigment powders all over the whole thing, and it looks really great. So this here is the end of the first part of the video, guys. Please let me know what you think.